Hey, today we're going to take a look at the Fastpath Assure platform for SAP. Fastpath Assure is a cloud-based platform that helps companies with access certification, segregation of duties, audit trail reporting, and identity management inside of high-risk business systems like ERPs, CRM tools, as well as HCM systems. Today's demo is going to focus on our solutions for SAP. The Fastpath Assure platform can be implemented in hours and days, not weeks and months, and our cloud platform sits outside of your SAP environment and pulls the data directly from that environment for the reporting. So let's take a look at how we can do access reviews for SAP. One of the things our customers love the most about the Fastpath Assure platform is that it makes it easy for auditors and business process owners to understand the technical pieces of SAP security. So the main building block inside of Fastpath Assure is what we call a business process. So if I go in to the setup, we can go to maintain business processes. And we can standard deliver several business processes predefined, and then your organization can also customize these business processes, add your own, add custom features, T-codes, and auth objects to these business processes. So essentially what a business process is just a collection of T-codes and auth codes. So if I go here to AP payments, it allows me to pick a group, and then inside that group, you'll see the several SAP objects inside of that group. So instead of the end user seeing all of these technical values, they're going to actually see something that makes sense to them in terms of AP payments or manage vendor master data. So when a business process owner or an auditor says, I need to know everyone that has access to maintain vendor master data, they don't necessarily want the T codes from the system. They just want to understand who can perform those functions within SAP. So again, there are business processes that come out of the box with the Assure platform, and then each and every company can add their own security artifacts to those business processes. Now that we have our business processes set up, let's go take a look at how Assure can help you with your access reviews. Assure can slice and dice security across users. So if we ask the question, what does Homer Simpson have access to? We can easily report on that. It will slice and dice security based on authorization objects or T codes. We can also do it by role, but we can also take a risk-based approach to the access reviews as well. So if I go to critical access, we can pick a company. We could pick one specific user. So let's say that we want to know what high-risk access Homer has, or let's look across all users and pick a specific group. So Assure allows our users to go out and identify the high-risk access points in SAP as defined by their organization, and then build a group to narrow down the security reporting. So if I select a group here, you can see a critical access group, or you can see the business processes that we looked at before. So who can run AP payments? So if I grab AP payments and then hit submit, it's going to look across all the users, all their role assignments, and then pull back who has access to those high-risk areas within SAP. So I can see here that Anthony Rizzo has access to AP payments, and then over on the right-hand side, it's showing me the roles that have been assigned to Anthony that give him that access. Now, once we've reviewed any report within the Assure platform, we can export that report. We can sign off on that report. So I can add any notes here. I'll just say this is approved for the first quarter review. Oops, there we go. And then it's going to put a user timestamp on that report title. You can also schedule any of the reports we'll see today to be delivered to business process owners, internal audit, anyone at the organization. So I can say, schedule this report. So this is AP payment access review. And then I want to schedule that report. and we see that as high risk. So we want that to go out on the 1st of every month to, we want that to go to Jaden, and we want it to go to Ben, and we want it to go out on a monthly basis on the first day of the month, and it's going to start October 1st. So on October 1st, Jaden and Ben will receive an email with a PDF attached to it of all the users that have access to AP payments within SAP. And then Jaden and Ben can sign off directly from that email on that report, providing the evidence that those reviews have been done by the right people at the right time. So I just hit schedule here, and it's going to build that schedule. Again, any report that we'll see or that's contained within the Assure platform can be scheduled and signed off and exported in the ways that we've just shown. Let's take another look at how we can define the critical access groups to take that risk-based approach to the access certifications. So if I go into the setup, I can customize our critical access groups. Now, what many of our clients will do is build a critical access group based on business process area. So they'll have one for finance that maybe the controller reviews, one for AP that the purchasing manager or the AP manager reviews. So if I drop down here, I can either add a new critical access group, or there's some out of the box that we've predefined. So I'll just create one here called demo and hit create. And then we can add our objects to that. So again, this is going to pull all of the objects across from your SAP environment, and then you can define those groups. And again, we have template groups built, and then you can take those templates and configure them to your own individual needs. But again, it makes it very easy for the auditors and business process owners to start to understand what some of the technical aspects of T-codes and auth objects, what those are giving to the end users, and kind of put that business description on it as opposed to those technical codes that can sometimes be challenging. Assure will also allow us to analyze our SAP access for segregation of duties risks. So if I go into the segregation of duties module, the first thing we need in the analysis is a rule set. So if I go to Setup and I go to Maintain Conflict Rule Set, we can see all the rules that are delivered out of the box with the Assure platform. You can also augment this rule however you like to make sense for your business. For example, if we wanted to look at bank master data and AP payments, it'll show us the two business processes that make up that risk. And again, those business processes contain the underlying auth codes and T codes for SAP. And again, this rule set is out of the box and can be customized to meet the needs of your organization. Once we've determined a rule set, we can go to user conflicts, and we can run a user conflict for all the users within SAP, or we can drop down and pick one specific users. So here, I'll just run it across all of our users, and we can see that Harry Potter has the ability to maintain asset master data and process sales orders. At this point, if we click on that, or if we look here at Chief Wiggum, when I click on Chief Wiggum, it shows us what roles are giving that user access to those permissions inside of SAP. We can also mitigate from this window. If I click on our status, new, it will open up the mitigate conflict window, and we can document a mitigation for that risk. So let's say we have review and approve, maybe we have a workflow in place, whatever it may be, and I want to set it to proposed, and I can enter any notes here. So not only can I review the risk, I can tag it with the mitigation for that risk and document it going forward. I can also see how we've mitigated that in the past for other users. If I click similar mitigations, it'll show us how we've mitigated that precise risk for other users. So many times you're going to use the same control for the same users, and you can reuse that documentation again and again. We can also review segregation of duties at the role level to ensure that we don't have risks or minimize the number of risks inherent in our role definition. So if I go to role conflicts, I can pick a role from SAP and then run that role's access against our rule set. And again, this will help us remediate the risks in our security design and make sure that we're not assigning those risks by default to each and every new user that's added to the system or added to a specific role. So again, these roles are being pulled directly from your SAP environment, and you can again test those roles. So if I wanted to look at the risks inherent in an ABAP developer, I could grab that, hit submit, and it'll bring back, it's going to test that against our rule set. And fortunately, we only have one risk out of the box. Maintain, it's a high level risk of modifying the timesheets and then being able to process the payroll for those timesheets. So again, we can run the segregation of duties analysis at the user as well as the role. Assure also has the ability to report on audit trail changes within SAP. So far we've looked to see who has access to items within SAP, but now we want to know what did they do with that access. So if I go to the audit trail module and I click on data changes, I can easily query through the changes that have been made. So if I want to look at one specific template type, say vendors, security, or customers, I can do that. But here I'm just going to look through all of our templates, and I want to look and see what's happened so far in 2017. Who's been changing data within the system? So I can change my date, hit submit, and it's going to pull back who made the change, the user that made the change, the date that the change was made, the type of event that occurred, the field that was changed, the old value, and the new value of that change. And again, here on the link, I can link that back to the request ticket. So I can link that back to Jira or Zendesk and identify the person that made the request to the actual change that was made within SAP. So again, you can export this data, sign off on this data, schedule these reports out, and it's tying the changes, the data changes within SAP to those ticketing systems and providing that information to the internal audit staff. Finally, Assure helps with the provisioning of users within SAP. If I go to our Identity Manager module and I want to add a new user to SAP, I can go to Request Management. From here, I can click New User. So in this case, we're going to hire someone that's going to start October 1st at our organization. I can select the application, so I'll pick SAP. If you have integrations to other applications, say Salesforce or other SAP applications, those would appear here as well. In this case, I'm only linked into SAP, so we'll just set up that user and we can continue to walk through the wizard. So I hit next here and I can enter that user's name. So I want to make it Marge Simpson. And I can enter her email address, potentially. And then I can give her a user ID. And then I'll enter her password. And then I can also enter, it'll check our password criteria here, so it must be at least 8 characters. So it's going to enforce that password policy. And then we can fill out the optional fields as well. What user type is it? The address of the user, and then I can also put an effective date on this login, right? So if we wanted that person to start on October 1st, I can say, please push that user in on October 1st at midnight, and then maybe they're only going to be here for the 4th quarter for seasonal help, and we want that user's access to be revoked at the end of December. We can set it up to do that, and the Assure platform will create and then revoke that user's access automatically. Now I can go next, and we can assign the SAP roles. So this is, again, will pull the roles directly from your SAP instance. And let's say that we want that person to be the AR assistant. We can add that user to the role, and we'll pick one more here, the AR correspondence. And then I can hit next. You can add, we saw that you could add effective dates to the logins. You can also do that for roles as well. So say that you want someone goes on maternity leave and you only want that user to take that role, say for a specific period of time, you could do that. Or firefighter access, where you only want somebody to have administrative access for a limited time in production. This is a great way to achieve that as well. If I go to next here, it's going to allow us to do our SOD. It's going to bump our role assignments up against our rule set and show us any risks. In this case, I don't have any, but this is where you'd be able to see that. There are preventative controls where only certain users can request high-risk access or have any access with segregation of duties risks at all. The user can then push that forward, add any notes to their manager. Any notes would be sent to the manager for approval at that time, and then I hit next and it goes through the approval workflow. So we can set up several different approval rules. You can have a manager subordinate approval. You can have multiple managers, so I need 2 of 3 of these managers to approve something. And then you can also set up approvals based on role. So if you have a high-risk role like SAP All or another administrative role, maybe the only people in your organization that it can approve that access would be the VP of IT or an SAP admin, whatever it may be. You can assign those roles to specific approvers. So an AP manager can't make an AP clerk an admin, right? So again, you'd have that visibility across, and then there's an audit trail of all the requests, all the approvals, any of the rejections, denials. Those would be all tracked as well, so you'd have full visibility of any identity management or user provisioning requests and changes in the system. Thanks for joining us for a quick overview of the Fastpath Assure platform for SAP. If you have additional questions or need more information, please go to our website at www.gofastpath.com.